We had one in the chat from somebody he's saying that he's URM and a splitter. So he's got like a high LSAT score, relatively lower GPA, or maybe even vice versa, high GPA, low LSAT. And so in a situation like that, where there's a big disconnect between LSAT and GPA in either direction, what should somebody do? And maybe we should discuss those separately. But I guess the idea is when there's a big difference in those numbers.
Yeah, well, I guess I would first say that the majority of students that enroll, at least with us, are splitters, right? And also the second thing I would say is, before I get into answer your question, is that it should be pretty easy for anybody who has an LSAT and a GPA to look online. We provide that data to the LSAC. They have a platform, right, where you can plug yourself in and say, oh, well, within this range, relatively narrow range, last year there were 30 applicants, right? Out of 6,000, I've now narrowed myself down to 30, and I see that 2 got in, or I see that 26 got in, or I see that 15 got in. And from that, you instantly know that, boy, this isn't looking good, right? I mean, or, yeah, I've got a 50-50 shot, or, wow, this should be a slam dunk. This is pretty much a safety school for me. Yeah, I want to be serious about it, but I'm going to, get the best recommendations and proofread my personal statement, but by and large, I have a good chance of being admitted. So you have to start from that premise and be realistic about where you're applying. And I encourage everybody to apply to those schools where, yeah, it was 2 out of 30. Take those chances, especially if that's a school you want to go to. But you also got to apply to some schools where it was 25 out of 30, so that you're going to have some good options. Again, these are all schools that you've researched that you think are going to be good fits. But so if you start that way, I think you're going to have a decent cycle. Then you go, okay, now how am I going to best present myself for the school where I have the 2 out of 30 chance, or where the odds are less likely. And there's limits to what you can do, right? You can't recreate, you can't take stuff out of thin air, and every case is different. So I could just imagine so many different scenarios. Like you say, okay, somebody has a high LSAT and low GPA. Well, maybe they're 30 years old or 35 years old, and they've been out of college. They didn't take college seriously, but they've had a whole career and they've now done well on the LSAT. Well, an admissions committee may look at that and say, clearly we think that the grades are not as indicative as somebody who just graduated. They've proven themselves through a career, through a LSAT, through the LSAT. But you could also imagine a situation where somebody just graduated and says, yeah, I didn't take college very seriously and did well on the LSAT. Well, the committee might believe that, but they might be more inclined to admit somebody who's been out of school for a while and who's had a whole career and has matured. And, I could come up with 1,000 different scenarios, but, all you can do is present your case in the best possible light, but just recognize that there's a lot of splitters that are admitted to law school.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.